Scooby-Doo, where are you?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, May 10th, 2025. Wow, what a day, what a week we've had. And you know what? The news is still coming in. We got some breaking news to get to. So on that note, let me go ahead and jump into the studio, my friends, and let's go ahead and welcome in our audience really quick. Where's our usual sound effects? I got to start up these drums. I know they're here somewhere. There we go. Let's go ahead and get this show started. Who in the heck do we have out there in the audience? Let's take a look, my friends, and see who's out there. We've got Andy W's here, along with April R. Coleman. Kathy Spires here, along with Diva Kim. Firefly and Idaho Strong. We've got Invisible Tracker, Kathy, King Bull, Clipper. Where's Kelly Burrell and those piercing blue eyes, my friend? Not here yet. Who else out there? We've got J-Cat, Joey Stoner, Kathy, King Bull, Clippers here, along with Maritime Unprepared. We've got Matt Ramon, who is in the chat, but he's not in the back. What's up with that, Matt? Mr. Grimlock's here along with Mr. Joey B and Ms. Cussout. Niles Guy, our resident Pitbulls here along with Paul DeBon, Ruff, Reddy, Sam, Tom Clark, and Vern Dude. How about that? On that note, let me go ahead and now welcome in our panel. They got a lot of good things to say today. Let's see who in the heck we have back there. Our first panelist is coming to us from the great state of Florida. Let's welcome in the one, the only, Alice W. How's it going, Alice?
Hey, Thomas. It's a little allergenic here in Florida. I'm having the hardest time right now.
Spring allergies.
A little funny.
Spring allergies, you gotta love it, my dear lady.
Have a good show tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Our next panelist is coming to us from Bristol, United Kingdom. Who could that be? None other than Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, going really well tonight. We've had a bit of a party for my daughter. They went and did a bit of Ninja Warrior. Way too much energetic for me. So, yeah, I'm just here relaxing now with a great show. And it's not as much whiskey as you think it is.
It's on the rocks, right? Or it was on the rocks.
Yeah.
Perfect, my friend.
One sniff of a barmaid's blouse and I'm anybody's. That's a little secret.
Barmaid's what? Oh, a blouse.
Barmaid's blouse.
Oh boy.
I don't go sniffing barmaids' blouses, by the way.
But your wife, we could consider her your barmaid, so you're safe on that, my friend.
Yeah.
But I think you were her barmaid earlier, getting her some wine.
Yeah, she's got some wine when she bothers her. She's not falling asleep and let it go.
There
warm.
you
It's
go.
Lovely and cold at the moment. But,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, let's head to where it's warm, to our friend coming to us from the great state of Hawaii. Who would that be? None other than Corporal Abe. How's it going, Abe?
Pretty good, Thomas. Good to see you guys. Mike, everybody in the crew. Happy to be here. Just another beautiful day in Hawaii. Looking forward to news of the weekend.
Time looks like it's almost time for that daily little sprinkle.
Yeah, and it's getting close to that time. Actually, the clouds are forming up
beautiful,
there in the background.
Beautiful, my friend. I am so jealous. Enjoy, my friend. Thank you for being part of the show. Our next friend.
Happy to be here.
Thank you, friend. Our next guest is our next panelist is coming to us from Texas. Who could it be? None other than our recliner in chief, Ed Brown. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing real well, Thomas, with you, and glad to hold the chair down for a little bit. I was hoping I didn't follow Andy because I was about to say something like "Good afternoon, mate," and I don't even know what that means. But
mate means friend.
Yeah, well, I kind of got that. I think maybe need a little translation there. And I do want to give a shout out to Tia. Tia, you're looking real good tonight, and it's good to see you in full bloom.
Yeah.
She normally hides behind the screen sometimes. So we're going to have a good show tonight. You're waiting for me to shut up, aren't you? So
no, not at all, my friend, not at all. It's wonderful to have you here. But since you give her introduction, our last panelist coming to us from the great state of New York, let's welcome in Tia Marie. How you doing, Tia?
Hello. Thank you, sir, for the warm compliments. That's so nice of you.
Yeah.
Made me blush.
Oh.
I'm so excited, though, to talk to you guys. about the Pope.
Oh yeah, the new Pope. Interesting.
All the things I might have a little weird question to ask you in the panel. Don't nobody come for me, okay? I didn't kill anybody's dog. I just want an opinion.
No. Hey, opinion. Everyone's got one. If you're not talking out one, you're talking out the other. Means we've got two. So
that's right.
Thank you for coming in, my dear lady. Well, that wraps up our panel and brings us to who could it be? Mike, Disclosure. You've been busy this morning, my friend. Wow.
Oh, just a little bit.
You think?
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Playing catch up, but yeah, it's been interesting.
Personally, I prefer mustard on hot dogs, but either way, yes. Great ketchup, yes. But ketchup, yes, but you dropped a bomb on Twitter this morning.
Yes. With what seems to be going on in regards to government censorship from a place you would least likely expect to find it, like we've covered on the show before, with the new cabinet members in this administration that are for transparency. But it seems, as it turns out, that's not necessarily the case, like we've been reporting on.
Yeah, interesting piece. Let me see if I can go ahead and find it here and bring it up. Let's bring it up. Here we go. Yes, let's go ahead and take a look. What are we looking at here? Yes, we've got the website for the Office of Director of National Intelligence, which has gone dark. Well, it says it's under construction. It's down, meaning the entire site, the entire content that was there, that was part of the overall, if you want to call it, disclosure coming from the Director of National Intelligence, that would be Tulsi Gabbard, has gone away. Now, if you take a look at what it used to look like on the, what do you call it here? This is on the old Internet Wayback Machine. Going to yesterday, there was a full website, fully functional, that was here, but their press releases, their reading room, all of the information regarding to the ODNI has been removed from the public's view. Why don't you tell us about it, Mike?
Yeah, well, it seems that right now, Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, that oversees 18 different intelligence agencies, and she's at the top, has mysteriously, without public notice or warning, taken down the ODNI website, which is something that's also mandated by law and has to include transparency to the public. And it's also law enforcement agencies all across the country depend on updates from the intelligence community, and they get their information from this website.
Yeah.
But it has been falsely put up on this website that it is under construction.
Yes. Well,
but that is not an accurate statement, my friend, because the reality of it is they have done a black site blackout, and they have removed this site completely with all of the corresponding information that is usually up there and available, including the initial 2021 UAP report. That was also on the site. That's now gone.
Yep. And usually when they do this kind of stuff is they shut down their portal before they go ahead and clean house potentially to prevent any sour grapes from potentially going ahead and, if you want to call it, broadcasting things out.
Sour grapes? Why don't you tell our audience the other part of this story? What else is Tulsi Gabbard doing?
Fill us in, Mike. I'm halfway out of it today.
The employees are being secretly fired, quietly, in the triple digits. And one of the reasons that the site may have been brought down is they don't want retaliation from former employees that may try to put some information out there that they may not want. This is what happens when you secretly fire people without warning. And that seems to be what's also going on behind this blackout of the
so they're cleaning, there have been a lot of leaks coming out of the intelligence community, and I wonder if potentially what they're doing is they're tying up any loose ends and trying to, if you want to call it, give the department, the Director of National Intelligence in her office, a clean slate to work from.
Right, but these people are all being subjected to this without prior notice, no internal memos, nothing. My sources within the intelligence community have told me that this is what they're doing, and it's not right.
It sounds like a downsizing at Disney where they just come in and people aren't supposed to know about it. And all of a sudden, everyone's getting emails. Some people go into room 1 or are the ones going to room 2. And the ones who are going into room 1 are the ones who are getting taken out.
Those are the ones that are usually escorted out of the building afterwards. Yeah. Right.
Or they go ahead to sign. They go into their laptop and it's been locked down. They try their security cards and they don't work anymore.
Right.
Now, it's interesting, Mike, because, if we look at some of the, if you want to call it, in order for the ODNI to comply with federal transparency and public access requirements, the E-Government Act of 2002 requires agencies to use internet-based technologies to provide public information and services online. While it doesn't mandate a website per se, it strongly supports a public-facing digital services as part of government transparency, and that has been removed.
That's right. They have violated federal statutes by doing this unceremoniously and not bothering to inform the public or anybody else, for that matter, within these agencies.
Yeah, and that would include
violation of trust.
That would include the Federal Information Technology Acquisition Reform Act, also known as FIDARA. The law emphasizes digital service delivery and efficient IT practices, including online publication of agency information. Maybe they could say it's a manual website, requires too much time to put together, but still, this site's been around for the longest period of time. I don't think they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to go ahead and maintain it.
Right. And now that it's taken completely down, it's not costing them anything.
Yeah.
So that'll be a plus on their budget. But whatever the reasoning may be behind this exclusive story that we're breaking here now, it's unfair to the American public, to the employees of the federal government, the intelligence community. Tulsi Gabbard fought hard to get that position and confirmation, and she ran on the promise of truth and transparency.
Yeah, she did.
We're not seeing that now.
Well, there's got to be a bigger reason behind it. Unfortunately, they don't have the ability to put out a press release to explain why. But let's get on to the next piece. The Freedom of Information Act, reading room requirements. FOIA requires federal agencies to make certain categories of documents proactively available, often through websites. These include final opinions and orders, statements of policy, administrative staff manuals, and frequently requested records. Now, that would also include the records that were provided from the first UAP hearing and subsequent releases of documents that came from the RO or the UAPTF at that time that was released by the ODNI at the time, Avril Haines.
Right. That's correct. So they're in violation of multiple statutes as a result of all of this.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation given. It's a violation of public trust.
Yeah.
And trust of the people who work in this community.
Right.
It's no explanation. So we don't really know. It's a continuing story.
Yeah.
It's developing. We're going to be covering this. We're the first one to come out with it publicly. And there's more to this than meets the eye.
Yeah.
What do you think, Thomas?
I think so, but Mike, the last thing I want to cover is this is also goes contrary to the ODNI's own mission, as brought to us by ChatGPT above. The ODNI has historically maintained ODNI.GOV as a means to publish unclassified reports like the annual UAP report we usually get, global threat assessments like what's going on currently over and between India and Pakistan, which is still falling apart, into the if you want to call it ceasefire. Pakistan is already still attacking India, so we'll see where that goes. Issue press releases and public statements and share information on oversight and declassification material. Remember, Tulsi Gabbard is the one who is, if you want to call it, leading up the charge to declassify documents on UAPs in the Trump administration. And if there's no method for her to bring out this information, what's she going to do? Drop it on Twitter or Truth?
Oh, I don't know, smoke signals, maybe? I don't know. It's really at this point hard to say because this never should have occurred in the first place, and it's ongoing, and they don't really want anyone to be aware that this is something that's currently ongoing, and it goes against the platform she ran on about being pro-disclosure and about truth and transparency. We're not getting it.
No, it seems like there's something bigger at play going on that the press hasn't picked up. A lot of people haven't picked up, but thank God for some inside sources to go ahead, point us toward this to let us know what's happening for the lack of transparency coming from our Director of National Intelligence. Now, remember, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence was put in place after 9/11 to go ahead and bring together under one umbrella all the different intelligence agencies. Right. And to give the public one place to find all this information out.
That's right. And listen, we got a taste of this after the drone flap that we were covering that came out. And then when this administration had put the official explanation out as FAA registered drones, we knew something didn't smell right with that.
But
either.
Turning the clock back a bit, about a year before the drones we had in New Jersey that were going on, different incident compared to what happened at Langley. Apparently, they did have an opportunity to bring one of those drones down, didn't they?
Well, we covered that on yesterday's show.
Well, it's a recap for the week, but yeah.
Yeah. It turns out there was a behind closed doors congressional briefing.
Classified briefing.
Classified briefing that's not public. That included the fact that an object was recovered over Langley Air Force Base, but not because they brought it down. The stupid thing crashed and they were able to recover it. But that being said, one of the representatives that attended the briefing had told Matt Laszlo from Astapol that they still don't know who is running and operating these craft. So it's still a mystery, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, a
mystery to some, mostly the general public and a lot of people in Congress.
Oh, yeah. Congress, the intelligence community, the military, they all seem to be in the dark about these objects, but we are getting bullshit statements that the FAA is fully aware of these objects. But like I pointed out on yesterday's show, Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, while this drone flap was going on, had reached out to the FAA looking for an explanation. And at the time, they officially told him they have no clue about anything with these objects, nothing.
Yes.
But that statement that was put out that this is run and operated by the FAA, they have full knowledge of these objects, they're registered under that, it's complete bullshit. And we're getting a lot of that lately. Now, in the previous administration, we pretty much expected that as a norm. Now, with this new administration, we're expecting to get different answers than what we seem to be getting so far. It's disappointing.
Because the new administration, not only, we've got a trifecta going on, Mike. We've got the Republicans in charge of the House, in charge of the Senate, and the executive branch. So we've got all three, if you want to call it, two legislative and the executive branch that's there. They can go ahead and make stuff happen where they may have been said we're handcuffed, our hands are tied, but now they could actually do the stuff. But it seems like leadership in the House of Representatives behind the scenes has been stalwarting and screwing with bringing forward meaningful UFO disclosure, especially with the members of the UAP caucus, which seems to be non-existent at this point in time.
Well, if you remember, we covered this on yesterday's show as well. There's a huge chaos that's going on in Congress.
Before we get to there, Mike, I am jumping the gun. We've got three of our panelists in the back with their hands up. I've been unfortunately ignoring. Let's go to Ed Brown, then Tia, and then Corporal Abe. Ed Brown, go ahead first, my friend. Sorry for the delay.
Well, I'm glad you said, unfortunately, ignore it. I thought I was being singled out. You weren't going to let me talk.
No, Ed, we love the recliner in chief, honestly. We love you, my friend.
Let me touch on a couple of those. You've opened up a whole bunch of windows there. Let's touch on them. The ODI website.
Yes.
ODNI or DNI website. I personally see a couple of possibilities. One is it could be just a complete change in the direction that Tulsi wants to take it, and they felt it would be better to pull the whole thing down, revamp it, and put it back up. And we may find that's a nothing burger if it pops back up in the next few days. That's a possibility.
Well, let me stop you right there. We have from our sources that it is not coming up in the next few days or few weeks. We know that that's been confirmed.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking or suggesting it could be a pivot, no, there would have been some sort of a public announcement about that pivot. It's not that. You can rest assured it's not along those lines. They have just pulled it down, and you have to remember, while they did this, they are also firing employees in the triple digits.
Well, when you said that earlier, Mike, about fearing maybe some of the whistleblowers, or not whistleblowers, the people being fired might try to do something with the website. It's real easy to change the passwords on a complete install like that and keep nobody touching it except the one person you give the password to, or group or committee or whatever.
Well, let me remind you that these are employees high up within the intelligence community.
Well, I'm not disagreeing.
You never know.
Just trying to look at a possibility to explain it. The other thing about the cost, I think, Thomas, you said, well, they'll save money. You don't save any money at all because you've already rented the space on the servers, whether you use it or not.
Well, the cost was reflect to, depending on the architecture and the platforms and the systems that are in place for updating it, it could be a long and laborious workflow to go ahead and get updates put into the system versus having something that's more of an automated, modernized platform. But either way, if they were transitioning from one platform to the next, you would transition all of the data, right, across to the new system before you actually pull the public portal down. It's like if you imagine you've got like Amazon.com and they're going through an upgrade. They wouldn't put up a sign and say, well, we're shutting down all of our information and access until we get the new site up. There's something deeper and more nefarious in play here, Ed.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, that's a distinct possibility. And I also need to sort of correct myself. I said the cost would be the same if they're renting it without considering bandwidth. They may be paying for bandwidth usage. It could raise the insurance. Anyway, the other thing I want to touch on are the drones at Langley. I do not believe that they could capture a downed drone, a crashed drone, and then walk away from that and say, we got no clue who flew this. I do not believe that. If it was Chinese, if it was Russian, if it was made by anyone in the world, I think the inside technology would lead them to.
They would know, but they didn't release to public information. If this makes sense, if they didn't release the information to the public, I would say with 100% certainty they know exactly who this is coming, who that drone came from. Now they didn't tell us about they brought one down, that they were able to go ahead and capture it. They didn't tell us about any of that information, let alone their analysis of it and the results of that analysis. So, right?
I am with you on that, but I think, I'm agreeing with you. I think they know, but I think telling would be a major disclosure that they're not willing to take right now. That's why I think they're holding it back, the FAA. Oh,
yeah. Well, FAA, all the government agencies, it seems like it's an information blackout because truly it's a matter of national security. Because remember, when the drones were going over Langley, it got so intense, they had to shut down all flight operations out of Langley for a period of time and shift them to the Oceana base.
Yep, I know. I remember that. Well, let's go with the final question. I think you were talking about dealing with ultimate disclosure. When's that going to happen? You've heard me say this before. I am digging my feet on this one. It is not going to occur until the NHI wants it to occur.
Of course.
I really do think that's going to be within a year.
Would you be willing to say that the NHI gave the humans a deadline that they must disclose by a certain date and that we have not upheld our end of the bargain, so they're ratcheting up to a point to where they're going to push it forward because the humans are unwilling to do what they agreed to?
I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
They could be putting us in a box there and saying, if you don't do something, we're going to do it, and we can't. They
could say, you know what, you've got a natural disaster coming on. It's going to wipe out the planet. You need to do it by this particular date so we can start moving things forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could picture a scenario where that is exactly what was going to happen, like
Yeah.
we talked about in the pre-show.
Oh, yeah.
Of a natural disaster was going to hit. I also believe that the United States government would not release that information unless they thought they could have it under control and calm the public. If it was, hey, a meteor is going to hit tomorrow and we're all going to die, they would not tell us that. They just let it happen. That's what I believe. I got you quiet. What do you think about that?
No. Great points, Ed. I agree with you completely. We are in complete agreement of that situation. You know, even if we didn't know about aliens or different things that we had an idea of, there was a big natural disaster coming, I think our government would do everything possible to cover it up, to prevent us from knowing about what's heading our way, because they'd be afraid of the bedlam, the mass disorder that would happen around the planet if people knew that, hey, in 8 months, the world as we know it will not exist.
Yeah, I agree. Now I got to leave you with a compliment here for the rest of your listeners, both today live and for when they listen later. This is the best place anywhere for any podcast to get this type of information.
Yeah.
Right here on Disclosure Tonight, because we talk about these things, we debate them, we bring them out, and we get people thinking. And that is the best place to get disclosure.
More importantly, Ed, we have an open door policy for people like you and others to go ahead and join the chat to bring these things up and talk to us about it. It's a public debate that we have regarding this. We all may have different views on different things, but we all come together on the quest for disclosure of the information that we deserve.
Absolutely. So I'll let Tia jump in there.
Tia?
Looks like she's next.
Absolutely. Tia, go ahead, my dear lady.
Why, thank you. So my opinion of the ODNI, I think it's been compromised. I know it's supposed to be for like the public, right? That's correct?
Yeah.
I think that it's been compromised, and it's probably been compromised in such a way that they've had to bring it down because of the war inside of our intelligence, because that's what it is. It's a civil war inside of our intelligence communities right now. And getting a hold of that is going to take probably a lot of tearing shit down and building it back up, you know?
Yeah.
I really think for them to do something so drastic as to take it down, there's got to be a fundamental reason why she would do that.
But it's interesting that because they're taking down not just new information from coming out, they're taking all legacy information that was available on that site, their FOIA reading room, their UAP reports, everything, and they're taking it away from the public preview. Now, granted, people can go to sites like the waybackmachine.org to go ahead and look for what was there in the past, because you can't erase it. But the truth of the matter is, for the average citizen out there, it's gone.
Yep. And, I'm wondering if maybe we had some bad actors, like maybe China, India, Pakistan, you name it.
India's a friend of
maybe they
ours.
were able to infiltrate it, right? Or even if they had people on the inside that were able to put some disinformation in some of these after they came out, like, okay, let's replace
To modified,
page 3 with some crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
Or let's add some stuff that's propaganda. I don't know.
Mike, would you like to address this one?
Say it again, Thomas.
Would you like to respond to T on this one?
I was just talking to Andy in the chat in the front on Troll Patrol. We had another one come in.
Gotcha.
So it's been a while. But yeah, no, listen, as far as what Tia is saying, she's making good points. But, at this point, I mean, look, we talked about it on the show the other day. It's complete chaos in Washington, D.C. with Congress. And we were about to get into that shortly here again today. One hand doesn't seem to know what the other one is doing. I don't think what we're covering is the story today on DNI.GOV and all of the shenanigans that seem to be going on in that respect with the intelligence community.
That's right.
There seems to be a lot of turmoil going on in general on many aspects, not just UAP, not just drones. It seems like a big disconnect that you and I have been covering on this lately. And I don't see any end in sight anytime soon. And this is something that's continuing. It's unfortunate because it's not good news that we're covering here on any of this. I wish it was better. I wish it was different. But we don't control the news cycle. We only report on it, like it or not. We just put it out there as far as what's going on. And that's all I can say on
So
this.
what we could call this, Mike, is an evolving situation. There have been some things that have been shared, information that's out there that we've learned about it. And I think we're one of the first news outlets to actually go ahead and cover that this is going on.
Oh, no, we are a trusted news source
Yeah.
for a lot of the people in Washington who also follow the show.
Yeah.
And that's why we have people reaching out to us to provide this information that we cover.
Yeah.
So we're just doing our job and bringing the truth out to the public as best as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate the hard work that you do. You're a lot of time on Twitter following different stuff. I've got a full-time job doing different things, and you are a breath of fresh air with regards to following a lot of the parts of disclosure and what's going on, because ODNI is a important part of bringing out the truth of disclosure of UFOs and other things, for the main reason that if you want to call it, Tulsi Gabbard has been tasked with gathering the information from the Trump administration and delivering it to Anna Luna, which seems to be an important task of this. But again, it sounds like there is a lot of swampiness potentially in the ODNI and all the different agencies that needs to get cleaned out, and nothing like bringing out the pressure washer to go ahead and clean things out.
Well, exactly. And like the other stories that we had covered yesterday, that swamp runs deep and wide. Congress is also become a swamp.
Yep.
This UAP hearing, on again, off again. One hand doesn't know what the other one is doing.
Nope.
Our friend and colleague, Professor Matt Laszlo from Escapol, has been in the halls of Congress and trying to do his best to cover this like we've been, and finding out that they don't really know what's going on either.
No.
And there's been a lot of bullshit that's been spread around behind the walls of Congress.
Yeah.
Currently.
Because, it sounds like what's been going on with Congress, they like to say, and more importantly, they like to call everybody out as, because that's what we're getting. We're getting a lot of bullshit from a lot of different people, including Anna Luna herself, which is a sad.
Anna Luna, Representative Nancy Mace.
Yep.
I mean, you and I have talked about this publicly for a long time now. The list goes on, and it's unfortunate because these people are self-proclaimed advocates for truth and transparency publicly, but we've been reporting on the fact that behind scenes, they're really not. They're doing the opposite.
That's correct, sir. You are correct, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's just a real unfortunate set of circumstances that we are covering. When we don't like it, but we're covering it because the public has a right to know. But it's utter chaos in Washington with the executive branch, the Congress, the legislative branch. It's like it's turned into a gigantic shit show. All of it.
Yeah. Utter chaos. That sounds like a movie talking about abductions going on at the local dairy.
Something like that.
Oh, God, yeah. Let's
get. Remind the audience, we are serious about not being serious.
Oh, and if there's an opportunity for us to laugh about something along the way, that's what we're here for, my friends. Now, we do have two more people in the back with their hands up. I know Corporal Abe had his hand up first before Andy, before he dropped back in. Corporal Abe, what say you?
Yeah, I believe Ed touched on this a bit, but I want to rehash it. I think the shit show, the utter chaos, we've got all this evidence, we've got all these whistleblowers, Congress involved, world leaders, is the lack of transparency basically to prevent global ontological shock? Is that what we're seeing here? That's what I'm starting to feel, right? Like, are they trying to prevent chaos? from spreading. And what's the reason? I mean, we've got to know. We all know that NHI and UFOs. We can all see the reports. Last night there was a 60 Minutes episode again, and they're rehashing, like Mike told me earlier, they're rehashing old information. So why not just drop the bomb? For me, I feel like they're just trying to prevent utter chaos and ontological shock, and it's frustrating. I mean, they're treating us like we're children.
It's a good excuse, but excuses are like assholes. We've all got one. Right. We just have to go ahead and take a look at it and say, I think the only way, Mike, that we're ever, or even Abe for that matter, the only way we're going to get disclosure is going to be catastrophic disclosure, is because the methods and what they've been trying to do to bring it out, no matter what it is, eventually we're going to have to go ahead and bite the bullet and realize this is where our pecking order is. Like Lou used to say, we are not the top of the food chain, which means we're on the plate.
And Abe, let me respond to what you said real quick. And I want to say that if I believe that they're creating the chaos, the legislative branch, Congress, the executive branch, the intelligence community, they are directly responsible now, like we're reporting on, for that chaos, that confusion. So I don't think that it's something that they're trying to deal with. I think that they're responsible for it because, I guess, lack of a better explanation, they probably don't know what one hand is doing as opposed to the other, and there's a lot of.
But Mike, that's why we have Avi Lube.
Yeah.
in what world would that be legal? The classification of reality. I mean, like the powers that be basically have all the information that we elected, right? And they're supposedly, they work for us, right? We elected them, they work for us. Now they get to know the information about the NHI and the UFOs, but we have to sit on the sidelines once again through another administration, through another couple of years. We're going to wait till season 45 of Weaponized. When are we going to find out what everybody knows? It's not just Congress, but I mean, like, there's people in Hollywood that have information that we don't have. There's people around the world that have information that we don't have. And I don't know. I kind of feel like it's like it's illegal. You know, it's a classification of reality. It's a crime.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like saying the moon is classified. They can't legally do that. Right. I would agree with you on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, absolutely wonderful to have you here, my friend. Great questions. Let's go on to Andy W. next.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on Langley. You know, this object that came down last year. You know, if I'm sure if it was, you know, a bad actor, a Chinese or Russian, they'd be parading it on the news, and your president would be like almost see this.
No,
So,
they wouldn't.
yeah,
And I'll tell you why, Andy. Because if they were forced to do that, they would then have to admit that we had been violated by a foreign adversary within our home territory, which is an automatic declaration of war against us and China. I believe that would be something that would probably be trying to be dealt with diplomatically behind the scenes and not public, because it would force us into a hostile position that we probably don't want to enter into. Especially, you have to understand, China has the largest navy on earth now, much bigger than the United States. They are overtaking us with their expansionism in a lot of ways. It's something that the new administration, I don't think, is looking to enter into a position like that. This president said on more than one occasion he doesn't want to be a wartime president. So if we were, in fact, had these multiple incursions from China, and since we're on the subject, I will share with you that it is rumored with the sources in intelligence that China could be a candidate for these incursions.
Now, remember, Mike, the stuff when that was going on back in New Jersey, that was something that came out from a member of the House of Representatives stating that what we're dealing with are drones from China.
Right, because they were hearing that from the intelligence community like you and I have been.
Yeah.
So they reported on that publicly. But there's no proof yet to establish that, because anything to do with these objects, as we are well aware of, they are burying deep and hard and will not release any information about it. They won't talk publicly about even the existence of these drones at this point. I mean, it's insulting our intelligence. It's an insult. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So this is how they've been handling it the entire time, Andy.
And
Sorry to interrupt. Continue, mate.
That's fine, mate. And also, we're looking back. I saw somebody was commenting about, I think it's Paul Damon was commenting about 2023. Remember when we were ahead of the curve on that one with all the dead horse and
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, the three objects that were shot down.
Yeah, we were broadcasting as this thing was happening. We were, our competitors, I'll say.
Same way we were when stuff was going on with the drones on the East Coast. We were there starting in the end of November. We started covering this at that point in time. And as it ratcheted up, we went back to freaking 7 days a week.
Yeah,
that's right. We did.
We're no further along with that. All of these, the drones that were happening earlier this year, we're no further along with all of this. I'm very much, Corporal Abe just said, about, perhaps it is time for catastrophic disclosure. And I've been a big believer that actually that's the only way we're going to get anywhere, because you see the way the world's going at the moment. We've got what's happening over in
India,
Pakistan. We've got all over the place now. It's just the world's going.
And since we touched base on India and Pakistan, I will update everybody and say that today, as of today, now India is talking about a potential nuclear response.
Oh, son of a bitch!
So nobody is looking forward to that. Nobody wants or expects that, because if it escalates along those lines, the United States will get dragged into it. Make no mistake about it.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that Pakistan is firing Chinese-made weapons at India, and Israel had made a public statement the other day. We also covered that if any of
Mike, we're losing your audio there. It seems like the Israelis are preventing your conversation from coming through. If you want to rewind just about 30 seconds.
Yeah, what I was saying is we talked about this the other day on the show, and Pakistan is using nuclear weapons, Chinese missiles, not nuclear, and they seem to be in alignment with China. And Israel has said publicly that they will stand with India. Yeah. So we already have multiple nations that are getting involved in this if it escalates and becomes a major conflict, as I'm sure the United States will as well. Yeah. We don't want or need that. And I could tell everybody that if that does happen, anything to do about disclosure and NHI or UAP, that'll be a thing of the past.
Well, unless they need to go ahead and take the global conversation and just fuck with everybody. And that's something that would.
Oh, yeah. Can I just jump in on that?
Absolutely.
While you were talking, Mike, with all of that. Yeah,
I think
the world's going to hell in a handcart at the moment, so what would be the one thing that would make everybody stop and say, whoa, hang on a minute? That would be catastrophic disclosure. Yeah. If we do have people in your Congress, even if it's the staffers or your Senate or whatever, people in the background are watching this show, maybe it's time for people to start having a real deep think and actually, we seem to be on, in the last couple of years. It's kind of
like, Andy, they're going to pull into your head and pull out the magic card and say, catastrophic disclosure.
Yeah, there's nothing in my head, so hey, there'll be plenty of that. But I think that would be the one. If they want a rein in all this bullshit that's going on around the world at the moment, all this stupidity, people kicking off all over the place, that would be the one place and the one way to actually get people to actually stop and draw breath and actually maybe think, maybe there's something a bit we need to be thinking about here. We all remember Independence Day, and all of a sudden, on there it was, all these people who were, fighting, all of a sudden banded together to come. What was it? President Reagan said about the, what if there's an alien force amongst us already? Would people actually then think, well, hang on a minute, this is something different? we maybe need to be thinking about
Territorial disputes would probably be a thing of the past at that point, Andy. Very good point.
If there are people in your Senate and House or to do with that actually listening to the show, start having to think, people, because it's not just you. It's not just the leaders who we seem to be so many crazy leaders around them there at the moment.
Has there ever been a time when we haven't had a bunch of crazy world leaders, Andy? It seems to be part of humanity.
Yeah, I think most of us are just trying to get on with life and don't really give a damn about the rest of it. But you get these certain ones seem to float to the surface. Like some other bodily functions that create them. It's us poor saps down at the bottom of the tree that end up suffering. So, maybe people need to start having a real heavy think and a hard think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good points, Andy. We agree, but we have a lot of hands up back here, so we got to go to the next one, Thomas.
And we got more stories to cover, especially about Houston. Congress has a UAP problem, a curious case of a non-existent UFO hearing. So let's get to who has a hand up next. Let's go to Ed and then Alice. Ed?
Well, I got a hand up, but it doesn't have anything to do with Houston and Congress having the
That's
UAP
okay.
problem. I want to go back to the question of whether or not the intrusion over United States airspace would constitute an act of war. If so, then China declared an act of war when they flew those balloons over the United States.
Of course they did.
Alaska and Canada. And we just watched them. Did we shoot them down? Not until they were
Because apparently not only did the balloons fly over, they had sensors. They actually had drones they were launching to go ahead and pick up more signal intelligence.
Yep, and they just happened to coincidentally fly over all of our top secret nuclear facilities and all the nuclear facilities. So don't tell me overflying airspace, at least under the previous administration, would be an act of war. Now, it might be an act of war under Trump now.
Yeah.
I don't think he would put up with that. But that kind of takes care of that, which brings me back to this point about when they find something, are they going to not know what it is? I don't think so. I think they're going to know what it is. If knowing what it is means it's not something we can explain, it's not earthly, it's from not human intelligence, which is why we've now given that broad category. We don't necessarily call them aliens anymore. We call them non-human intelligence because it could be from a number of sources.
It could be from ancient. It could be from a different dimension. It could be from someplace out in space. So non-human intelligence is an all-encompassing term like UAP.
Now, I do happen to have the answer to that, and I know you don't even want me to jump into this.
Go for it, Ed.
Go right ahead, Ed.
Well, you've heard it before, but there's probably people listening today that have not. I was doing a lot of research, and I came up across, in fact, discussion with Russell Targ over the remote viewing of Ingo Swann. And I remember him saying one day when he asked Ingo, he said, well, what is it? What source do you get? What input do you get when you try to come up with something like this? And he said, gut feeling. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I got on this. There's going to be people that are going to say I'm crazy, but it's my gut feeling, and it's dug in right now. So
well, you'd call it gut feeling, Ed, but it's more like it's your higher self guiding you, and sometimes you need to listen to it because 10 times out of 10, your higher self will tell you where to go, and if you second guess it, you're going to be wrong. So fill us in, Ed.
I'm going to give you a very quick preview. It's my opinion that total disclosure and the Christian or biblical topic of rapture are connected and will occur at the same point.
Yeah.
And that will be next year in September of 2026. Now, I'm not going to go into depth as to why I feel that way, but I will give you an explanation on this show because I know how you and Mike feel about this as to why other people aren't seeing it like I see it. And it's because there are two different distinct communities here. There is the religious community, and I'll paraphrase that as saying they want nothing to do with UFOs. They don't want to talk about them. They don't want to admit them. You know, it's foreign to their belief. They're going to go to church and pray and believe in God, and they don't want to talk about UFOs. There's the disclosure people that are really into UFOs that for the most part say, we do not want to talk about religion. I've heard Thomas Fessler say, we don't need another religion in here when we talk about these UFOs.
Ed, that has been a message to me as the last thing we need from humanity is another religion. It screws with enough people at this point in time. Take it for what it is. What we're seeing is not an act of God.
Well, it may be. That's my point. Is
Yeah.
if these occur at the same time, then exactly what is above the skies in the world? And what I believe is a combination of two things. It's going to be beings that are part of the fallen angels from God, the religious belief, along with God's good forces, and there will be a battle that will occur at that point. And the reason that it's total disclosure is because there'll be thousands or millions of these ships in the sky, all at the same time.
At the same time, all coming down around the world, disclosing to us. Ed, I've seen that. I've visualized that.
Well, that's
it's
my
been
theory.
presented to me as our future.
I'm waiting to give it some track motion here, and other people can do their own research. And I found it really quite by accident. I said it was a gut feeling, but I was, from my personal religious beliefs, searching eschatology and end times, looking up what I could find that was happening in the world and talking to people about that. And they kept saying, it's getting close, it's getting close, it's going to happen. We feel it. Realize they've been doing that for 2,000 years. And then the same thing with the UFO group on the other side saying, it's getting close, it's going to happen. So I started trying to find the point at which it would merge, and I used artificial intelligence to do that, and it came up with the date. And coincidentally and unrelated, that's the same date that Chris Bledsoe says it's going to occur. Different sources, different reasons.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let people chew on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Want to do a
Some
poll on
people
that?
like what you're saying, Ed. Some people are against it, but I love your opinion. I love where you're coming from. It's phenomenal.
Let's do a poll, if you don't mind. Do we have time to do that?
All right, we've got that, and then I've got a couple super chats, and I need to bring someone from the back up. Let me go ahead and do that. Oh, God, where is that? It's been a while. Jesus Christ, my mind is in mush mode. Okay, so I want to go and do a poll. What was the poll you wanted to do specifically, Ed?
I think very narrowly defined as, do you believe in the possibility that disclosure and the rapture are related? Take it down to its simplest form. Is there a connection between the two?
Simple enough. Disclosure and the rapture are related. Yes or no? Let's see where our audience takes that. Let me go ahead and bring this up right now. Where is it? We haven't done a poll in a while. People have been saying, where are the polls? Even this morning meditation, they said, I need to bring back the polls. So where is it at? Let's get video full. Guess bigger. All right. So let me get the sound of. Hey, Google, give me a timer for 1 minute, please.
Sure. 1 minute. And we're starting now.
There we go. We've got a minute left to see where it's going to go. Where our audience is saying this. Disclosure and the rapture are related. Our audience is saying 37% of our audience is saying yes. 63% of our audience is saying no. With just 40 seconds left, let's see. We've got 65 votes in, 71 votes in. It looks like, we're at 60-40 at this point. Let's see if it can get any different. But our audience is usually on the key, and I will go ahead and support wherever they're going for as the non-committal host of what it is. But it's 60-40. It's not quite a 50-50. Go ahead, Ed.
No, but I think that's a good, that is actually a very impressive number, because when I first started this study, that number was down around 5%.
Yeah.
Or in many circles, 1% or 0%.
Which is 5 seconds left. Get your votes in, folks.
The fact that I've got 40% of your audience believing that, I think, is a monumental step forward. We got another, over a year to work this, but I think you're going to.
Ed, is that a sign that disclosure has happened?
And there we go.
Ed, is that a sign that disclosure has happened?
That's a sign that when disclosure will happen at that point.
Final results on our poll. Out of 95 votes out of our audience of about 300 people right now, 39% is saying yes, 61% is saying no, but great results, Ed. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for running the poll.
Oh, God,
We'll be
yeah.
watching the skies, won't we?
Absolutely, my friend. Let's get to it next. Alice W., your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. To Ed, I was
Wait a minute.
raised in a generational Catholic family, so my favorite subject is aliens in the Bible. That's what catches me the most. So if you ever want, or if you ever do anything or with that, you can include me. And the other thing, oh gosh, I lost my memory here. Shoot. Oh yeah. I was watching a show today and I came across it said disclosure is now. And it was the Nazca mummies. Are you aware of them?
I have. I don't put a lot of confidence in that.
But
Well,
they've released the DICOM files, the imagery coming from the CAT scans, and it's remarkable. And what we're seeing for the structures that are there and everything, we're not looking at humans faking this stuff. These are true. Another species of something that we need to figure out.
Here's the interesting part is they did all the CAT scans. They're finished with investigating them. They found out they're only 30% of regular DNA. There's 70% that's unknown. Also, the female, they have about 100 of these mummies.
Yeah, they actually found the structures going to the eggs to go ahead for them to grow.
Yeah, the females carry eggs.
They carry the eggs, but not only do they have eggs in there, but there's also like umbilical cords going to each of these freaking eggs.
They got to the point where they could see the brain and everything of
Yeah.
the babies inside. So disclosure is now. I mean, they have these mummies. They've been investigated, and what else can you say?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
we could say it's more real than this things have been going on with the sphere that was found down in South America, because the recent findings coming from that have proved it's completely fake, because there's prior images of that sphere that would have been out there with, if you want to call it, an earlier state of not having the designs on it. So the spheres that they found in South America, completely fake, but the mummies are looking more and more real.
They are, and I think we have disclosure if they are.
Yeah.
They're called tridactyls too.
Yeah, oh gosh, yes.
Tridactyls.
Let me jump back in real quick, out of turn, but to kind of address what Alice is talking about. I think a lot of this stuff is going to pop up. People are going to disprove it or whatever, like, in the case you talked about the sphere. And what that'll do is it'll set back the movement. In other words, it would have been better if nobody mentioned it, because a false report. The same with, you remember during the
No, but what they found out specifically from the sphere, I'll go ahead and bring the tweet up. I've got a bookmark to bring it up. There are earlier pictures of the sphere when they were weighing it, where that chip design and different stuff was on there in the writing. It was before that was actually added to the sphere. So if the sphere was found, it looks like it's been modified by humans at least to go ahead and give it the look and feel of what's being presented at this point of what was actually there when they found it.
Well, the perfect example, though, of what I'm talking about is what happened to Lou last week in the hearings with the picture that he held up. Unfortunate, because
that got our UFO hearing possibly canceled. Yes.
Well, that one single picture probably had more of a negative effect than any of the positive effects of that hearing.
Why didn't he bring out the video we sent him of what happened in Malta? Why didn't he bring out the video of the stuff we saw down that we sent him, and Chris, it was shared with Mellon and everybody else, that showed what was going on down in Sentinel, Arizona? We've got better videos and evidence that we've brought forward and sent and shared with Lou than what he's actually shared out to the general public.
Well, my answer would be because NHI does not want it disclosed at that particular moment, so they tamped it down.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could have been a setup for him. Like he did it knowing he was doing it, because.
Come on, he already had Chandelier Gate. He should have learned by now to go ahead and vet the information, because the people who are giving him the stuff, it's people who are bringing out fake information for their own fame or to tear it down.
Yeah.
I mean, it took the community. He could have put that video out, that image out there, and put it on Twitter and say, hey, look, everybody, this was shared with me. Is this real or not? And within 2 hours of that, the community would have came back and said, no, dude, this is fake. Don't worry about it. But he took that as real and presented it to Congress like it was real. And that may have jeopardized our UFO hearing this week.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's get to Nick. Long time no see, friend. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing good. I sent a video in the back chat, Thomas. I think you liked the video. It's Ross saying basically, it's probably an FBI investigation going on right now.
All right, let me go ahead and I will humor you. I will. Where is that at? Where in the frick is that at?
Are you talking about where Ross said that there's going to be an FBI investigation into the criminality of hiding disclosure, Nick?
Yes. Basically, he's fairly certain people in the FBI basically.
Well, let me go ahead and bring this one down. It's a short
15-second clip, Thomas.
Well, 19 seconds. Let's go ahead and bring it up either way. And let's just play the clip. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, Nick. We appreciate that. You usually have a good feeling for different things to go ahead and cover. Let me go ahead and get this to us here. 15-second clip coming to us from Need to Know, because we need to know. Let's see what Ross has to say here. Hold on. Here we shut that down. Go.
If you consider the outspokenness of Nash Patel and the FBI, who I know has sanctioned a secret FBI investigation, which is still ongoing into the concerns of illegality and criminality involving the UAP issue, watch out, gatekeepers. The FBI is on your tail.
FBI on their tail. That sounds interesting to me, Mike. That'd be nice to see that. What do you think?
It would be. We'll just have to wait and see if anything publicly comes out about this, but I don't think that we'll hear anything about it publicly anytime soon, to be honest with you.
Well, hopefully we will, but if not, you know what? It's out there in the ecosphere at this point, and hopefully sooner than later we'll get some government agencies stepping up and giving us the disclosure that Annapolina Luna asked for with a deadline of February 18th of this year. God, it's May already. God, Mike, you know, if we look at this, that task force was only put out there to be in if you want to call it, to be around for 6 months. We're 5 months in. They got 1 month left to get to the bottom of something.
No, you're absolutely
We
right
haven't hit
about that.
9/11. We haven't hit Truly Epstein, a bunch of the different things. We haven't hit UFOs or anything yet.
Well, we were supposed to have the task force looking into the UFOs this week, but we found out, and we covered this, that obviously it's a shit show. And none of that is going to happen.
No, because Annapolina Luna said there's going to be a hearing, but as we know right now, coming from the Oversight Committee, if they want to get a hearing, they have to have a week's notice, which means there is no chance for any hearing to be going on next week.
And we've also...
You're breaking up a little bit again, Mike. Go ahead. Start again.
Congress.
Mike, you broke up a little bit.
We've
Start.
also heard...
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We got you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you, buddy.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah. Having Wi-Fi connectability issues, it seems like.
It's that new router you got.
Yeah. So what I was saying...
Get one from Asus. They work really well.
Sucks. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get it from Asus. That's why I'm having difficulties.
Yeah.
No, Matt Laszlo has talked to many members of the UAP caucus and a lot of members in Congress. They have claimed there's no mention of this. There's nothing planned on moving forward. It's all up in the air right now. So as far as, is it going to get back on track anytime soon? Not likely. No indication of that from members of Congress.
Join again, Matt.
It's a big shit show.
Join again.
And like you said,
please.
The task force is only authorized a couple more weeks.
Tim, jump in.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
Are they going to extend the task force? Maybe.
Yeah.
But again, that's also something that's up in the air right now.
Yeah.
So we don't know. It could go either way, or it could just die off, and then we're left, without having any answers moving forward.
Yeah, we do have a question coming in from the back, Mike, from the, Tim was in the back. He jumped in for a little bit. He jumped out, probably some things going on. It's the weekend with the family. But Anonymous Rex says, can I ask, why are Avi and Danny doing their give me more money dance right now? That's where we had Avi Loeb come out and said, we need $1 billion to research UFOs.
Right.
And Danny, of course, is going on with his new Paradigm Institute master's program, where for $20,000 you could get a nice piece of paper that's worth the piece of paper.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of people are frustrated with the community overall, because these people that are focusing on the money aspect of it, it's leaving a bad taste in everybody's mouth, obviously, as we've been seeing.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Tim is right that it doesn't look good. You and I both agree on that.
Bad taste, less pineapple, more pineapple, less asparagus.
Well, there you go. That's the oral sex joke of the day. And tomorrow being Mother's Day, I think it's an interesting point to make.
Pineapple cake, not asparagus cake, and it'll go really well.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. For those in the know.
Yeah, my grandmother used to make a phenomenal cheesecake, cheese and what was it, like cream cheese and pineapple frosting. Oh, phenomenal stuff when I was a kid. Let's get on to Tia Marie, who has her hand up, my dear lady. What say you?
Thank you. I was starting. I was going back and forth, sitting here, because I didn't want to miss it.
Oh, what's the pineapple for? Well, Thomas explained that pretty clearly.
So,
I can answer that real quick. It's the difference usually between swallow or spit.
Oh!
Okay, so I think here, I want to talk about the Pope real quick, please.
On a rope?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I know that a lot of people are excited that we got an American Pope, or upset that we got an American Pope. Some say that they found information that he's a child pedophile. I don't know.
Oh, covering it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what those robes are for.
Here's my thing. If we really wanted to get down to the nuts, right, of this, why have we not elected, not we, them, a black Ethiopian Pope, right? Isn't that where it started?
Come on, the Italians are never going to allow that to happen. Let's just be honest.
Okay. Well, that's a little fucked up, right?
Well, I know. I'm just talking about the Italians. I know enough, so I've known many.
Right? And so that's where a lot of, I think, our answers are going to come from if we can ever get it done. As far as Jesus's bloodline, did he have kids? They know, right? Ethiopia has a lot of
Ethiopia, they've got a lot. Supposedly, Ethiopia, they've got those really cool, intricate churches that have been like built down to the ground. And that, more importantly, there is a church in Ethiopia where they've been, if you want to call it, protecting it for thousands of years, probably 3,000 to 5,000 years, potentially where the Ark of the Covenant is actually stored.
That's right.
And even when there were, what was it? They had rebels coming in trying to go ahead and shoot it. The actual people of the city who were there, stood up against the rebels to go ahead and protect the Ark of the Covenant.
That's right. And I don't believe that the Conclave movie, Mr. Heiser Souza, that's bullshit. But I really think if Christians, if we really wanted to get down and dirty and get into this, we need to start going back to our roots, and it starts there. And when they say Trump was the Antichrist, right? Maybe this American Pope is actually the Antichrist, right? They said they would never do an American Pope. They now have one. They said they didn't want to do it because America had a trifecta. They didn't want to give it to them, us, right? So why all of a sudden, when America is at war with itself politically, right? Why is it now that they feel it is important for an American Pope?
I can't say.
I think that it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Bullshit. But I love.
Exactly.
I love Jesus and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that until we get an Ethiopian Pope that can really, come out with the truth.
Yeah.
I really don't think we really know what this religion is about.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we got some turtle heads saying no, Thomas. The Ark is on Oak Island. No way in hell. They definitely find it next season. Is it going to be there, or was it transported magically from Oak Island to? Oh God, Skinwalker Ranch. We'll find out next season, of course. Jeepers, creepers! What do we find? Oh gosh, absolutely, Mike. What a great show so far.
It's been a lot of fun.
I guess we can
Great
get back to
conversation.
talking about UFOs again.
Yeah, well, eventually we come full circle.
Oh, we do. We definitely do. Where are we at? Let's get to it. All right, so here we go.
Congress and
Mike,
the deep hole.
Congress has a UAP problem. The curious case of a non-existent UFO hearing. Are the GOP leaders pulling the strings and sabotaging UAP inquiries? Matt Laszlo thinks so, absolutely. What we know, there will not be a hearing next week. We have not heard a hearing notice for next week, and yet they have to give a week's notice. So we know there will not be a hearing on the subject next week. A House Oversight Committee minority staffer confirms to ask a poll. So there you go, folks. Not only are we not going to have a hearing on Monday, the 12th, there's no chance of a hearing next week until Anna Polina Luna gets off her ass and actually schedules one. Now, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Anna Polina Luna was asked about this, and she said, yes, there is a hearing. But as the head of the task force for disclosure of national secrets, it was her responsibility to go ahead and actually schedule the hearing, and she didn't do it, and she still hasn't done it.
No, she hasn't, and she lied directly to everybody by answering that question that was given to her by Matt Laszlo.
Yeah.
Falsely.
Yeah.
So she's not playing fair with the press, with the public, or with her claim to be promoting and an advocate for truth and transparency.
You know, Mike,
That's
and if she made a mistake, it's okay. Admit the mistake. It's a learning opportunity, saying I've had a lot of things going on. I was worried about talking to the president of Ecuador, President Bukele, and all these things. I had all these things going on, and I forgot to delegate to a staff member to go ahead and schedule a hearing. It's going to be delayed. But nope, she is not doing the right thing, is she?
No, she's not. And we have been consistently reporting here on the show and on our social media accounts online that a lot of members in Congress that are allegedly for truth and transparency and disclosure advocacy have not been being honest with the American public. It's an ongoing trend. And if this was, in fact, a mistake, and all she had to do is take responsibility for it.
Yeah, just own up to it. People understand. People make mistakes. People have lives. Things happen. And if it goes on, admit to it. Don't just give an answer that's far from the truth.
Yes, that's true. I would agree.
Yeah.
But then not choosing to take responsibility, hone up to whatever mistakes may have been made, and then try to offer a solution as quickly as possible to the American public and come up with an alternate date. None of these things have occurred or probably will occur, according to Matt Laszlo.
Yeah. Now, Matt Laszlo says, Mike, what the fuck's up with the UAP caucus? If you're like us and you're asking yourself, what the fuck is up with the UAP, Congressional UAP caucus? We only know that what our sources know, and in the 119th Congress, sadly, that's meant we haven't known much of anything at all. Like we've confirmed, there's no public UAP hearing next week, but no one's been able to tell us the fate of the classified skiff briefing with whistleblower David Grush that's supposedly been rescheduled for the week of May 12th. Below, we're going to find a brief and real-time case study of the congressional ineptitude. I think these are some of the strongest words, Mike, that Matt Laszlo has put out so far. Matt, if you have your hand up, what say you on the subject? You're muted, my friend.
I don't know why it popped me in. I was waiting for you to get finished with that. Continue on, man.
Okay, cool. Sounds good, my friend. Real-time case study in ineptitude, or was this GOP leadership plan all along? On Wednesday evening, Luna confirms the UAP hearing. We're still on for next week's public UAP hearing in the House. Yep. The Secret Task Force Chair Anna Polina replies without hesitation. Friday, 10:44 a.m., Dean Johnson breaks the news. There will not be a UAP hearing next week. Spokesperson for the U.S. House of Representatives Oversight Committee told me this morning a UAP-related public hearing before the committee's federal secrets task force had been previously anticipated by the task force chairwoman. Of course, 11:01 a.m., Christopher Sharp confirms UAP hearing is off. A House Oversight Committee spokesperson confirms there will not be a UAP hearing next week. Within minutes, Christopher Sharp of Liberation Times confirms there will not be hearing next week. 11:50 a.m. on Friday. Ask a Poll breaks the news. The UAP caucus members, next week's UAP hearing is off for now. Ask a Poll texts a UAP caucus member before noon on Friday morning. I haven't heard that. The perplexed UAP caucus member replies, where did you hear that? 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday, after returning from lunch with an editor and a doctor's visit, Ask a Poll Matt Laszlo realizes no one, including members of the Congressional UAP Caucus or the Secrets Task Force and Oversight Committee aides, has returned any of his texts or emails. With congressional offices set to go directly to voicemail at 5 p.m. Eastern sharp, Laszlo frantically starts re-emailing and adding chiefs of staffs to unreplied inquiries, retexting and calling all the Oversight Committee directly. Crickets from Congress ensued. 4:37 p.m. on Friday, Oversight Committee minority staff lapse lawmakers. Within minutes to spare before the Capitol complex is quiet to go for the weekend, a Democratic staffer, thank God we finally hear from the Democrats on this, apparently they're no longer being disregarded, answers the Oversight Committee's minority line. We have not had a hearing notice for next week yet, and they have to give a week's notice. So we know there will not be a hearing on that subject next week. A House Oversight Committee aide for the minority tells Ask a Poll. Any word on new date? It's possible that they're still planning to do it. They just haven't told us yet. The helpful aide tells Ask a Poll on backgrounds, quote, so we don't know which date or whether it will happen in the future. 4:48 p.m. on Friday, UAP caucus member 2 says, still no word for the first UAP caucus member we pinged. But after sharing that oversight staffer told us at 4:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we finally get a response, not an answer. Merely a reply from a second UAP caucus member. Know what's up? We texted? I don't. The UAP caucus member replied, but I'll ask. As of publication time, we still haven't gotten an answer. 5:08 p.m. Friday. Oversight majority staff member confirms negative. There is not a public hearing next week. A senior Oversight Committee aide confirms to Ask a Poll on background. Not next week. Ineptitude, or did Luna lie to Ask a Poll? Something's off. Still no word on what exactly happened, in part because senior members of the Congressional UAP Caucus and Secrets Task Force were left completely in the dark, either by Chair Luna or potentially because of her. Yeah, she needs to own up to this one. It's not just about good looks and a good pair. It's about bringing out the truth and standing up for whether you did something right or wrong. Asterisk. It remains unclear whether Luna never intended to give the required notice of the public UAP hearing, which would mean she misled to or lied to Ask a Poll subscribers earlier in the week, or whether her and her team simply forgot to submit the necessary paperwork. Now, if she did that and she did not give out the answer, it's about coming clean with the people and just telling us we made a mistake or we got stonewalled. We got fucked over, friends. Give us the truth, Anna. That's what we want to know. As much as you're revealing pictures you had when you're running for office, we'd love to have that revealing information now. While we've asked roughly a dozen members of Congress and their aides, Ask a Poll still hasn't gotten an answer to the fate of the next week's already scheduled, as Anna Polina said, classified skiff briefing with David Grush, Lou Elizondo, possibly the one who was the reason why the UAP hearing was canceled. Ineptitude? UAP caucus has a new look. Below, find other notable moments from what looks to be Congress currently stalled UAP investigation in the 119th Congress. 1. Skiff cancellation. Chair Luna versus Lou Elizondo, Matt Ford and Eric Burleson. On April 29th, Secrets Chair Luna told Ask a Poll that their scheduled skiff briefing was canceled because newly hired congressional staffer David Grush had a scheduling conflict. More like he didn't have the security clearance necessary. So that was a lie. Grush couldn't make it, Luna told Ask a Poll, but knew details of the briefing that, yes, Lou Elizondo immediately disputed Chair Luna. What did Lou say in one of his last statements before he was kicked out of the UAPDF? Folks, unfortunately, our friends in the House of Representatives had to postpone one of our classified meetings until later this month. This House matters concerning budgets, not UAP. As such, we're still on track for our discussions on the Senate side later this week and other important matters. We will continue to keep all posted with new developments. This week should be interesting and informative. Stay tuned. Interesting enough, Fathead Ford of the Good Trouble Show backed up Elizondo. Quote, postponement has nothing to do with David Grush, according to Matt Ford. Matt Ford posted a cryptic update suggesting that David Grush is not the culprit of today's canceled hearing. More to come. Probably more of Elizondo. Clearly, full tweet below. But unfortunately, Matt Ford is no longer part of the UAPDF and has been shown the door due to his political alignment with the wacky liberal left and his continued attacks on the Republican Party, including the president, who is the only one who can go ahead and bring forward disclosure. Matt, sometimes you need to let your head stop talking partisan politics, and realize if you want to get to the truth on UFOs, it's going to involve the President of the United States. And if you attack him, all it's going to do is stalwart any kind of opportunity to bring forward the truth. Now, what did Matt say? Unfortunately, Congressman Luna's staff may have given her incorrect information. Sure, blame it on the staff. The reason for postponement has nothing to do with David. I promise. Please support Ask a Poll. How about that, Mike? Not only that, the UAP caucus task force member also disputed Luna. Grush's congressional boss, Eric Burleson, told Ask a Poll the skiff briefing was postponed due to A, delays in getting Grush's full security clearance restored, and the other reason was that everybody was jammed with meetings. Burleson told us. So my God, Mike, what a disaster. But if we can go ahead and call on Brian Pemble, your hand is up. What say you?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what Luna comes out with after this, because she's going to take the brunt of this, and it may be her fault. But I have a feeling that the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, this is the 6-month task force that ends in August. I have a feeling that James Comer, who is the chairman of the committee on oversight, which oversees this one, and if everybody remembers, he wields all the power. If they want a subpoena, they got to go through Comer.
That's right.
If they want a hearing, they got to go through Comer. And who does Comer answer to? Speaker Johnson. So basically, if Johnson tells him no, he's going to hold it up. So I'm curious to see what Annapolina Luna comes out with here in the next few days, if they actually filed the paperwork to do it or not, and Comer said no, this may be a possibility. But I have a sneaky feeling, I have no evidence here that I think Comer's pulling the plug on this, and he's doing it, and they're going to claim, oh, we got to do the budget, we got to do this, we got to do that, only to run up the clock until I think it's August 11th when the task force disbands at that point.
Yeah.
Remember,
Well,
the
they
task
could
force is
extend
only
it because
for 6
there's a
months.
lot of stuff they still haven't covered. They are, 4.5 months into it, and they still haven't covered, they covered stuff with regards to the JFK. There have been documents that are brought off by RFK, but not actually, there's nothing been done about RFK as far as hearings from the task force. It seems like a know-nothing task force, Brian.
Exactly right. Where have we seen these hearings? Where have we seen other people come in front of the task force committee? Nothing. Zilch, nada.
Yeah.
Now, you've also got the DOJ. They got the executive order to declassify all this stuff, and we're going through it as fast as we can. Kash Patel saying the same thing. Pam Bondi saying the same thing. And we're just not getting anything new now. And I think the people are growing impatient, not only on the UAP topic, but also on those other topics.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff. I want to see stuff about 9/11. That's one of the things I'm really into, and I love to hear about the truth, because there's a lot of things that just don't add up from what we saw to what we were told.
Yeah, and I'm just going to tell you, I've personally never trusted Comer or Johnson, so I got a feeling they're going to be there to run out the clock.
Yeah.
And then what shows up in October, the budget. This there's always going to be something, and so those people need to be pushed. So I'm not. Yes, I'm being critical of Luna, but I got a feeling that she's probably one fired up lady behind the scenes right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I would be looking for her in the next few days to see what she comes out with. Because if she rats her colleagues out on this one, then we know which side she stands on. If she rats them out, that means she's on the good side. Comer and Speaker Johnson are the opposition, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't get what Kathy Spire is saying. Cheese, Thomas, follow your own advice, please, or kick me. I'm happy to kick you out, Kathy. I have no idea what you're talking about, so please let us know. We'd love to know. On that note, Mike, what are your thoughts? It sounds like it's been a game of hide the salami. Let's go ahead and watch the submarine races.
Yeah, something like that. I have heard that the UAP caucus and the junior members like Luna, Burchett, and the others have been a thorn in the side of Speaker Mike Johnson and Representative James Comer, the chair of the House Oversight Committee. And what they did is they came up with a plan to keep these junior members out of their hair.
Yeah.
And they did that by creating this task force and put them in charge of it. And that strategy that they've been employing has been very successful. It has kept them out of the normal day-to-day activities of the Congress, and it has kept them busy with this task force. But now they have a time frame, a limit, a deadline, and it's going to be expiring in a few weeks. They may decide to keep them also involved with this continuously and extend the authorization another 6 months, but they may not. So at this point, all this seems to me to be, like you pointed out, is an exercise in futility, because they haven't really accomplished anything. They don't seem to know what they're doing. And this is something that is becoming publicly noticeable to everybody, including us. That's my 2 cents on it. So,
yeah, absolutely. And really quick, I have to let it, Corporal Abe know, no, these are not Cherry MX. This is an original a PS2 Model M, the smaller keyboard, the TKL from 1986, best year for 86 to 84, best years for Model M keyboards, my friend. So, yeah, I love it. Brian Pemble, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, Matt, I apologize, but I just wanted to respond to Mike. Mike is 100% correct. They threw him a little bone, but they said, you know what? We're not going to give you subpoena power or anything else like that. It's just a task force. You guys farted around for 6 months. In the last, 50, 60 years, nobody's figured this out. We'll give you 6 months. Knock yourself out. If you need a subpoena, it resides in my hands, James Comer, which I'm not going to give you a subpoena for anything. And we're just going to drag this out till the 6 months is gone. And boom, there you have it. We kept you busy. Mike is 100% correct. And by the way, we called this out in April when the task force was formed. I think we had a small discussion on this that this is not adequate. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's absolutely frustrating. I am quite upset, and I'll try to refrain using words. But Mike, I thought that was well said.
I'll say it for you, fucking son of a bitch.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Matt Ramon, your hand is up now.
All right. Do you think that they're pushing this for what Luna did, that they're trying to maybe push her out like they did with Burchett by making her fall on a blunder, and then that way that they have powers to say some stuff about her and how she's not capable maybe, and try to reestablish who's in charge and who's going to bring up more while she maybe fights her way out of a paper bag?
All I can say is incompetence is no excuse, especially when you're in a public office. If she did something wrong, she needs to own up to it and just say, well, I made a mistake. I thought this was going to go on, and we thought we did this, but we didn't do it. But I scheduled it. This is when we're going to have it. Just own up to it and give us the truth, like Kyle vaping. Kyle, your hand is up.
Hey, bud. How you doing?
Good.
Burchett wasn't really pushed out. I don't believe that. He went to the Doge committee when Elon Musk came in, because he's a penny pincher. And now that that's dissolved, I believe he's back.
Mike, what do you think? Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Mike, you there? Sorry, Kyle, I missed.
Well, here I can jump in real quick.
Actually, I am. What was the question, Kyle? I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. What did you ask, Kyle?
I just said I don't think Burchett was pushed out when he's a very fiscally conservative Republican. And when Elon Musk came in with Doge, they set up a committee, and he got appointed to that one. I think that's why.
Yeah, he's not pushed out, to my knowledge. You're right about that, Kyle. Tim Burchett doesn't usually give any reasons to get pushed out of something other than him speaking his mind usually about Congress and what a shit show it is, which some members of Congress are not happy to hear him say publicly. But that's typical for him at this point. His catchphrase is, it's a cover-up. And usually he's right. So no arguing that.
I was referring to the original time when he was supposed to head the hearing, and then they basically pulled him from that position. That's what I was saying, and I think maybe they might be trying to do that for Luna.
No. And you're right about that. They did pull him from that. He was supposed to be running that committee, that hearing. And at the last minute, they pulled him out because they, as we also reported on, the executive branch has influence over those committees and limits what information they will cover at the hearing. Tim Burchett is a wild card.
But Mike, really quick, Tim Burchett has been historically the loudest voice in Congress for disclosure, but it seems like he's been tweeting more about his two donkeys that keep on escaping from their pen than he has actually been going about disclosures. So somehow something got to Burchett and has shut that voice down, which is really concerning for the disclosure movement.
Right. But I could tell you that one of the reasons they had pushed him out is that they could get Nancy Mace to play ball, which she did, but they couldn't get him to shut the fuck up if he was running that hearing. And they damn well knew it. They got him out.
Yeah.
Now, as far as why is he so quiet now? Well, we're covering what Matt Laszlo put out there and what we ourselves have been putting out there, that it's a complete chaos going on in Congress. Yeah. Nothing is moving forward. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. It's a shit show. So I have a feeling that Tim is aware of this, and as a result of that, he has nothing to talk about as far as any UAP information coming forward out of Congress, any hearings, any meetings. So he's talking about, his life on the farm. What else could he do at this point? I have a feeling it has to do with just the chaos that we've been reporting on. Nothing more than that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, Mike, I think it's a good opinion, and it really represents where we're currently at with regards to disclosure. And it's sad to see, I'll call it out and say it, Tim Burchett being muzzled on this topic. There's something bigger and deeper at play. Maybe we could talk to Tyler or some other people to try and get to the bottom of that. But I think there's a much bigger story here. And the root of the story, and the person who will tell us exactly how it is, if he gets asked, is Tim Burchett.
Oh, without a doubt. I agree with you 100% on that, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to muzzle Tim Burchett that easily.
Oh, hell no. And really quick for everybody, if you remember a year ago today, May 10th, 2024, we had that amazing solar storm that would happen all across the United States, around the world for that matter. An amazing time. Looking back to some amazing stuff that happened in the past. Yeah, usually I would have more pictures to bring up on X, but right now I didn't get a chance today to go ahead and bookmark them all. But there was some amazing stuff even out here in Washington State. Amazing pictures. If we could, let's get to Ed Brown. Ed Brown, your hand is up, my friend.
Well, I want to make this real quick. Just point out that you can talk about him being thrown off a committee or talk about the pressure that Comer or Johnson may put on him. But the bottom line is the electorate elect their congressperson, and he is very strong in his district.
Yeah.
So I think he's safe in that position.
Oh, he's very safe, and there's no reason why he wouldn't want to go ahead and bring it up unless there's a deeper reason on this. And there's got to be something going on to hear, just think about, if you look at back when he had the first UAP hearing, when there was an explosive piece that was put out by TMZ, who was the one who they got on these steps of the halls of Congress coming out of there, giving the most explosive messages to the public? It was Tim Burchett, and it's been like that all the time ever since. He's an amazing individual that really, truly stands for disclosure, but we got to find out why. What has even taken someone like him and muzzled his involvement in this? Because there's a deep absence. Would you not agree with that, Ed?
I do, but he may be looking at his political future in addition, and feeling that maybe he's putting a little bit too much pressure on the leadership and back off. I don't know. That's a speculation. But I'll tell you this. He's become a folk legend. The jacket that he wears that just sort of identifies him stands out like a sore thumb. But that's him and his speech, his speech patterns.
Oh, you know who I love as much as him? Let's get them both in a room and talk about this, Senator Kennedy.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, God,
He's another one that, well, when he comes on, we just kind of get quiet around the room and listen to what he has to say, because there's going to be a word of wisdom in there. I don't think that Burchett is going anywhere for a while. Now, how much power he has on influencing this UAP movement, I'm not going to speculate on it.
I mean, Senator Kennedy said the one thing was probably the most memorable quote after he came out of the briefing on what was going on with all the different things we're fighting down or going after over initial Dead Horse, Alaska, then over the Alaska Yukon, then down by Maelstrom, then over Lake Huron where we potentially shot the UFOs down potentially. And what they had said was the cow is out of the barn. Go home and lock your doors.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
If he ever writes all those things down in a book, I'm going to go out and buy it the very next day. He's got some great sayings.
Oh God, he's a wonderful gentleman who's truly there in office representing the people that elected him. He's a politician, but he doesn't seem like he's bought and paid for. He's more of, this is who I am, support me or not. If you want to support me, we'll get there. But otherwise, screw you. I'm going to go ahead and say what needs to be said. And that's what we need, people in
Tim Burchett.
Tim Burchett, exactly. That's why I said, let's get both of them in a room and talk about this. It'd be amazing.
It would be.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. That'd be a great round table, I think.
It would be. But we also know, and we've been reporting on recently, that Congress is stalled, that it's a deadlock, it's chaos. It's a complete shit.
It's bedlam.
Nothing is moving forward. Nothing. Yeah. They're not taking responsibility. They're not correcting the mistakes. Yeah. They're not moving forward in any regard on this. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are right now. That's why I suspect.
Mike and Thomas, let me also point, there's opposite sides of that too. You know, like Congressman Crockett from Texas. I don't know if you followed her, but that woman sticks her foot in her mouth every single day. For the life of me.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, there's a few of them out there.
There's a few of them.
I agree.
They'll just stick their foot right in their mouth and say something stupid. She named our governor, and we just didn't take that too well. I don't know if you heard that line. She called Governor Abbott Governor Hot Wheels.
I just want to go ahead and announce that I have knighted Sir Mick. He's usually one of the first persons in the chat. He's there all the time. He is one of our new back-end mods. Congratulations, Mick. We appreciate your contributions.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been an interesting turn of events for today, and tomorrow being Mother's Day. Usually the news cycle is slow, but we had an exclusive that we brought on the show today and on social media and our posts that show even when it's quiet, there's still things going on behind the scenes that the public is not aware of. And it's disappointing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You know what? If it's Mother's Day, that means tomorrow I get to celebrate, hopefully, the incarceration of the mother of my child. That would be the present I would give to my daughter.
Yeah. Wow. Listen, it's going to be interesting for a lot of people tomorrow, and we wish them all the best. Happy Mother's Day weekend to everybody, and thanks for joining us here on the show.
If you're a mother or have a mother or had a mother, let's celebrate. This is the day to remember the good and the bad. God, man, I can go ahead and tell a story about my mom, Mike. She was the kind of woman when you were getting a little bit older and you did something wrong, and she'd go to hit you with the red tube or something, you'd try and stop it, and she'd just take your hand and go back and forth. And then, a day or two would go by, you forget about it, then you're walking down the hallway, you're crossing her directions, and you get the whack across your face, and you're like, oh my God. Oh, yeah, I remember what that was for.
Right. So it sounds like she had a memory and didn't forget anything.
Yeah. In some ways, you could think of her as a mommy dearest, but that's okay. We all love our moms, good and the bad.
That's true.
Yeah.
Some of us do. Not all of us, but
not all of us.
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. Any great memories from any of our people in the back audience, good or in the chat, good or bad, to celebrate our moms?
Anybody want to volunteer?
Corporal A, take it.
Quick?
You got it.
Yeah, my mom was a civilian in the Navy, and so that's pretty much probably one of the main reasons why I joined the Navy originally. And she was a big inspiration on my life and kind of supported me when she was alive with the whole UFO topic. So give a shout out to my dear departed mother, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Love you all.
Good point. The reason why I strive always so good for having the best image quality, best video quality, everything we can do, your mic, for what we do, is because I had my mom. She used to have it where my dad would be up on the roof. We'd have kids in the line, and he'd be adjusting antennas. She wanted the best picture she could possibly get because she didn't like the interference or diathermy, as she called it back in the day. So Yeah, it's one of the reasons I've got her eye for quality in some of those areas. Sometimes you just have to blur it out, but you got to enjoy it. Anything from you, Mike?
Oh, no. My mother was pretty similar to yours, Thomas. She had a memory like an elephant.
Oh.
She wouldn't forget anything.
No.
And no matter how much time had gone by, it would come back up soon enough. So I'm with you on that, my friend.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. Great times all around. Well, Mike, we started about 5 minutes late, but we're at that freaking 2 hour, close to that 2 hour time frame. Is there anything you or anyone in the back that we haven't covered that we should have covered today? I've got some things that are on my list, but that's okay. We've been going for 2 hours, but
Yeah. It's your call. If there's any last minute things.
No, that's what I'm putting out the call. Anything from the audience? Does the audience have any questions or anything you want us to go ahead and cover today? This is your opportunity. You bring a lot of stuff up in the chat. My mom was the best cook and loved being our mom. We had so much fun as kids because of mom. Pete Liebel says my mom had given me a second IQ test. Had them give me a second IQ test because she didn't believe the answer that she got. Oh, that's a good one. My mother survived marriage with 2.5, tour Vietnam vet. Bless her soul. Oh, my God, Dad. My dad was a son of a bitch. He should have been on antidepressants for the longest time. And one of the times, Mike, he was in the hospital. I went to go visit him. They thought he was like out of it. He had a stroke, that he was gone. I went and I held his hand, closed my eyes, dialed into him, and he was there. Literally, he was trapped. And I opened my eyes and I looked at him. I said, Dad, you're there. I can hear you. And that's when I fired his doctor. And because they overdosed him, he had kidney failure going on, like a lot of elderly people do in the United States. And they were giving him gabapentin for dealing with some of his pains, but they were giving him so much gabapentin that it was backing up behind his kidneys. They had to bring in Mr. Psychic here to go ahead and connect with him and figure out what was wrong, fire his doctors and get him back. But the worst thing that happened, Mike, was, and I bless my mom for dealing with him, is they took away his antidepressants. And I warned everybody saying, no, Dad is coming back. You don't realize he's coming back. And they all looked at me like I was fucking crazy until they realized, oh yeah, with all those antidepressants, he was a son of a bitch and an asshole, and he was proud of it. And I've got really good roots, Mike.
Yeah, well, listen, it's okay. You made the best of it, like we all do sometimes. Yeah. And that's all that really matters. But Matt Ramon has his hand up.
Yes, he does. I know. Got to talk about, this is the one time we can talk about those family things, you know? Comedians get their best results from families. Matt, go ahead. What say you?
Yeah, I was just wondering to see if you guys had touched on anything as far as like the new Pope and if he might be a part of some form of disclosure, which we know that's a laugh, but.
Oh, yes, and we agree with you completely. He was someone who had opportunities to go and bring forward the truth potentially on a whole bunch of cases of abuse against little boys from the Catholic Church down in South America somewhere. And when he did, he actually was, it sounds like he enabled the cover-up of what was going on. So he's more of an organization, Old Boys Club, potentially being someone who's truly progressive and there to represent the flock as the people you're there to survive, not the flock you're there to feed on.
Yeah. I just didn't know if anyone had insight on that, because I know that News Nation put...
yeah, we covered that one. There was a story, I believe, yesterday from Danny Sheehan. Oh, let's see if
this one was I put a News Nation one. It's in the back chat. But
I've got it. Let me reveal and find her. And here we go. Let me go ahead and play the clip since you're bringing it up at the end of the show. It's viewer's choice at this point. Let me go ahead and bring this up really quick since this is a recap show. Get back to OBS where I can see where I'm at. Let's get to video full. And let's play the clip of Danny Sheehan talking about, will Leo the 14th be the full disclosure Pope?
Do you think that this new Pope will actually help UFO enthusiasts and others gain access to whatever secrets lie beneath the Vatican?
I do believe so, yes. I believe that he has a history, as did Leo the 13th. that preceded him, actually in trying to establish the relationship between the cutting edge of science and the most profound fundamental theological concepts of a metaphysical dimension that is not accessible by most people. That's the key to this man. He is a person who wants to bring together science and theology to be able to bring the Catholic Church into the 21st century, so we can begin to adjust the institutions of our planet to cope with the reality that there's an extraterrestrial, non-human civilization that surrounds us, and the fact that they've been coming and going from our planet at least since the detonation of the first nuclear explosion in 1945. So I think that he is going to be the disclosure pope. The church has a fundamental responsibility to be the ushers in of a perception of our relationship to the universe, in our human consciousness to the evolution of our species. So I believe that the church is going to play a major role in doing this, and they've issued a statement back in November of 2009 stating that in light of the fact that we've now got these new spaceborne telescopes and they're discovering more and more of these new exoplanets, it's now clear, as they said, that much sooner than we had previously anticipated, we're going to discover that life exists elsewhere in the universe. And therefore, the time has arrived for the beginning of that all-important conversation about the profound philosophical and theological questions that are posed to our human family by the discovery of life elsewhere in the universe. That's the moment that we have reached now, and this will be the Pope who governs the largest single denomination on our planet of 1.4 billion people, to usher in this larger reality and integrate it with our sense of ourselves in the universe.
Interesting piece, Matt. Does that kind of answer some of your questions? Oh, we put him to sleep. How about that? Do want to go ahead and bring up, have a chance, picture my dear mom a couple of years before she had passed away. Yeah, she got the, the Pfizer version of the COVID vaccine. Within 3 days, she was paralyzed, couldn't barely talk and anything. It was a horrible situation. And unfortunately, it was from that point forward for the next 7 months, it was the most horrible portion of her entire life. I feel sorry for the pain and suffering she went through because of that, the problems with her heart getting destroyed from the inside out, and then the surgeries to try and deal with it and everything else. It was nasty. No one should ever have gone through that. But you know what? We learn from our mistakes and what goes on. All right. On that note, anything else from anyone else in the back?
Well, I can share a quick update. The story that we exclusively broke here tonight about the DNI website and all that's been going on. There's been huge response on social media. People are shocked and outraged by it. But one of the posters had replied that they looked in the Wayback Machine and found that all the information from DNI has been scrubbed. And it's actually still there. You have to go to ODNI.GOV. They did, and now it's been updated and scrubbed.
All right,
according to this poster.
Well. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's get to bigger. All right, here we go. So let me go ahead. This is the site right now. It shows all the details going back to May 9th, right?
Yep.
And I am checking for www.odni.gov. I've got one of the records up. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And there it is. So whoever is going and saying it's not there anymore, it is. And I'm going to go ahead and this is on your tweet, Mike, over on X?
It is. Yes, sir. Respond to it.
Oh, you don't have me tagged in that. Let's get to here. Let's go from Mike. Let's get to the post. Wait a minute. It doesn't have your updated post.
I'll give it to you right now. Give me 1 second. Check
I got you. I'm going to get you. I've got your posts. Drones, 58%. Breaking news. There we go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to go to your thing and saying a link to the Wayback Machine shows that www.ODNI.GOV and an alternate URL to the site is still active. There you go. Fixed.
Perfect.
Yeah. So on let's see on your tweets so far where are you at? Well, it's not showing you the activity that I would expect it to, but yeah. Interesting, Mike. Thank you for going ahead and sharing that.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, we've been covering this story, so we're trying to follow up and keep everybody up to date as far as where it's currently at.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Interesting.
Absolutely, my friend.
Thank you for doing that, Thomas. Yeah,
you have to, because I have the data up here already. Nothing like taking that, working with as a team to go ahead, and, one hand washes the other, as they always say.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, no, you're correct on that. And
Yes.
the public has a right to know everything, good and bad.
Oh,
So,
God, yeah.
good
Absolutely.
to put that information out.
You better believe it. It's a breaking story. Not a lot of people know about what's actually happening, but when you look at the site and understand what's going on, all you can say is, or more importantly, when I was looking for it yesterday, I couldn't find, and I just saw right now. Certainly, you better believe it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. On that note, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful super chats today and your support of Disclosure tonight, everything we do here. Who am I talking about? Kyle Reinhardt for $20 in the United States, Ed for $5, Mr. Grimlock for $2, Anonymous Rex for $5, Firefly for Australian $5, and Anonymous Rex another one for $5. Thank you very much, everybody, for your love and support of everything we do here, Mike. We've had one hell of a great audience and a hell of a great backed panel tonight.
Yeah, it was very active and a good conversation by all. And it was nice to be able to share this Mother's Day weekend with our audience.
Yeah, I have to say, really great participation from our back panel today. Lots of great questions. I love that.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Questions
We like to
or
keep them
just
coming.
saying what their opinion is, because no one just wants to hear one voice, one thing. Everybody sees this a little bit differently.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why we have an open format to allow our audience to participate.
You better believe it, my friend. And Mike, as we usually say, thank you for coming in tonight.
My pleasure. It was a great show, great conversation, and I'm glad to see that you're recovering, getting back on your feet after that.
A little bit,
COVID.
start of the show, I was feeling like crap. I'm still feeling like a crap, not as quite as much, but dealing with it. But Mike, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But
Go back to Party City where you belong.
absolutely, we'll catch you on the flip side. See y'all soon, everybody. Take care now. Bye-bye.